to my channel. This is your May 2022 soul story. If you have a sun rising or moon in the sign, this is a general reading, but we will be giving you key astrological dates and intuitive messages that will support you moving through the next few weeks. So there's an awful lot coming to a head in May, and there's going to be a strong emphasis around personal power and relationships for you. It's not a surprise that we're opening up your reading with the Eight of Wands. This first week in May is really so packed with activity. You're still going to be coming to terms with what showed up for you around that new moon solar eclipse. And do remember, the day that you plant the seed is not the day that you eat the fruit. So there's going to be some time to still kind of really witness the enormity and significance of what took place there. But then even as we move into this first week of May, pay close attention to the 3rd of the month as Jupiter is sextile to Pluto, building up to the 5th where we have an annual conjunct between the Sun and Uranus. Translated, this means that the opportunity for incredibly positive breakthroughs, perhaps because of some of the things and the realizations that have taken place for you during that new moon energy. And remember, you'll be working with that for the first couple of weeks of May, is going to really pack a punch. It's an opportunity for you here to start readdressing things and drawing a line. And with that Eight of Wands, there's the inference that you're going to be communicating and sending that message out loud and clear. What are you being prepared for, Taurus? There's a really strong emphasis in May of like so much taking place, especially in and around your key relationships, as we're going to be building to that full moon lunar eclipse in Scorpio coming in on the 15th of the month. What you're really wanting to address, I feel, through this next few weeks, Taurus, is returning to a place of substance, looking at the connections and the people in your life, looking at the things that you've been prioritizing, and having an opportunity as we sort of come down from some of the Piscean energy that had us really untethered and explorative in the kind of cosmic awakening, and wanting to come right back into the body. Now Venus is shifting into Aries on the 2nd, so again that's facilitating this need to have a greater degree of embodiment really, and integration of so much of some of the concepts and spiritual work that you've been applying in different areas. Now the 7 of Swords is coming through with that Eight of Wands. Do you trust yourself? I think perhaps there's going to be a little bit of doubt that's coming up, especially as we are being reminded that there's kind of almost like a pushing to kind of place you into this deeper regard for yourself, like stepping into that personal power with a greater certainty than ever before. And I suppose one of the things that I want to gift you through this reading is that the guides are really talking to me about your ability to build extraordinary resiliency through the course of this month. The challenges that you have been through and that you're continuing to navigate are really fortifying and strengthening that resiliency. And that's how you build trust with yourself and others. And so this first week is going to be super important because it's like you're really kind of drawing a line and also setting the tone of what's meant to unfold for you. You got to remember, our nervous systems are holding the imprint of everything that's been said and unsaid, all through our childhood, all through our adult life. And really this is completely woven in and laced into the way that we communicate to ourselves and others. But this is a new month to get it right for yourself. And it means that you have to start where you are, Taurus. That also means, I think, that you need to meet people where they are. That also might mean that you're going to be leaving some people where they are. And that 7 of Swords might suggest that actually there's a sense of people feeling like you are making plans without them, or that you are doing things secretively or behind closed doors. And, in all intents and purposes, that may be the case because simply there's been a shift in your prioritization. Now, the 10 of Pentacles suggests that, perhaps for some of you that is very family connected. What we have going on here, though, is there's not a lot of connection and flow between these first three guides, so it seems like things are people and situations are acting independently, they're acting standalone. You may also be having to deal with things very separately. It may be hard to kind of bring different people together. You might be navigating different groups or different friendships. You might be having to juggle different aspects of your life because they're not blending or mixing particularly well. Now remember, with this overall feeling with the eclipse portal now activated, and this kind of mirroring energy, you are, to all intents and purposes, being shown aspects of yourself that have been difficult to integrate or that you've been avoidant or disowning of. And this is an opportunity now, perhaps, where there have been these very siloed aspects of your life to then consider, okay, how do I bring this together? How do I find a sense of integration and try to unify some of these things? Remember, still water becomes a mirror, and so there's something on an emotional level that's trying to ground you and trying to give you that kind of opportunity to steady your thoughts through the course of May so that you can actually look at things a little bit more objectively. Now, of course, a full moon lunar eclipse in watery Scorpio might make that a little bit more challenging, especially where we have the kind of sudden news that comes through when we're working through eclipse energy. The other thing we need to remember is that we're going to be hitting into retrograde season. Of course, Pluto's already shifted retrograde at the end of April, and on the 10th of the month, Mercury follows suit in the sign of Gemini. Now, it's actually going to backtrack into your sign, Taurus, on the 22nd and right through till the 3rd of June. So be aware that this is a time where we are being invited to revisit and to readdress things, and especially in relation to what we're really dealing with from a kind of karmic perspective. We're going to be looking at karmic contracts through the course of May as they pertain to very close relationships in your life. And there's this sense of what it is that you possess, what you hope to possess, and what gives substance and value and worth to the things in your life, and inherently how that makes you feel safe. Now, we've got the energy of the Tower coming through. It always shows up during eclipse season because the very nature of this is about breaking down, breaking open, and breaking through. And we have some of the fiery energy of Aries kind of working in the personal planets of Venus from the 2nd, but also Mars shifting into Aries on the 24th. Notably, Jupiter, which has been incredibly supportive moving through the sign of Pisces, is also about to take a shift into Aries on the 10th of the month, right through until October 28th before it revisits Pisces. Here we've got a lot more independence and drive. There's a desire to want to really get moving and to embody things. Now, it's going to give us a bit of a preview of what 2023 looks like as well, so pay close attention in the coming weeks because that will give you a bit of an indication. But there's a sense of wanting to ground things in, and you'll have that real entrepreneurial spirit. I can do it my way, I can do it myself. But in the meantime, that Tower suggests that there's something that is going to come to a sudden end, or there's going to be a powerful change. Now, it can come in disruptively, which means that you might be looking at some disagreement or arguments or fallout that happens. Remember, Scorpio energy around that full moon lunar eclipse, which is when I feel this tends to be building in and around that time, which is going to be the mid-month, 15th, deals with other people's money, shared money. It deals with issues of intimacy, of sex, of power. It talks about psychology, our relationship to the occult. And so all of these themes about power, how you're using it, how it's being used on you, the influence that you have, or people of influence being able to support you. So all of these things kind of in the melting pot really of what might be playing out around that Tower energy. But I also feel as it sits beneath the 8 of Wands here, it's like what you send out, what you're saying, the messages that you're expressing or perhaps that you're receiving are going to have an irrevocable change to the dynamic of something. And that might be a little bit challenging for some people around you to get their heads wrapped around. This is why I'm saying, we need to remember that our nervous systems have held all the imprint of these energetic conversations that have taken place with key relationships in our lives. And so if this is a month where you're really having an opportunity to start to initiate this very strong reinvention of yourself, you know, Scorpio energy is supporting that with the lunar eclipse, but even you and your solar returns now are coming into a time where you're ready to step into a new version of the self. I have a sense that there's going to be simultaneous announcements that are going to be taking place through the course of this month. Again, Ten of Swords suggests that there has to be some sort of permanent ending to something. And that's really so that we can make space and give time and energy and respect to the things that are now wanting to be a part of your future. Remember, we said those new moon intentions, you know, the seeds that are being planted, you know, are not ready for us to harvest the fruit yet, but they do need nurtured and cultivated. I feel like you've got some people around you who are really going to start to play victim to these shifts and changes in your priorities, you know. But what we do need to remember is that this is not a month to be playing things on the loop. And if you're hearing the same conversation, if you're going through the same old rigmarole with people in terms of what they want or how they feel or what they expect from you, and it's putting you in a constant position where you're having to step out of your power, or you're having to somehow compromise or sacrifice things that, you know, are not supportive of your well-being, I see you really putting your foot down. But that also might, you know, indicate why some of these plans that you're making are having to be behind the scenes. You know, because if you bring them out to light too early, now of course eclipses may mean that information gets leaked anyway, but to a certain extent, it feels that you're wanting to be quite protective of things, and I don't blame you for that. Now there's a flexing up energy that's required, and with this reshuffling means that, you know, you're having to reprioritize or move things around, with a special emphasis as well going on around money matters, especially as we come into Gemini season, second house for you, and that Scorpio energy illuminating sort of 8th house themes. You know, there might be some discussions and negotiations that are happening around where you're investing money, paying off debt, or being able to kind of apply or look at different loans or capital that can support you to get things done. There's also a sense of wanting to have clearance, you know, and because we've got these retrograde energies starting to emerge now, revisiting lists, revisiting things that you'd sort of left by the wayside is going to be really important, because it just helps to free up some of the energy and stop some of the stagnation that's perhaps been settling in different areas. Now the goddess asteroid energies are also shifting this month. Ceres is moving into Cancer, which is a beautiful placement just by that Scorpio eclipse, which by the way also does have some favorable aspects with Pluto, Mars and Neptune, meaning that our actions are guided by like a higher spiritual faith in a way. So even though some of the fallout might be quite challenging for you in different areas, it also brings about this opportunity for really profound rebirth. Ceres in Cancer, of course, wants nourishment, and it really helps bond us to people and situations and reconnect us to our roots. Now, the Six of Pentacles to me seems there's almost something karmic here, and it's like the balancing out. It's the cause and effect. Now, remember, Jupiter can be really impulsive, and when we move him into Aries, there's not really a high regard for the impact or necessarily taking accountability for the actions that we take initially. We'll have an opportunity when it goes retrograde to review that a little bit. But everything is working out just now in terms of assessing these karmic contracts and where we are, and what is ready to be wrapped up. You know, even if we're sort of delaying or avoiding, or other people are, there's almost like a forcing of a situation now to rebalance something. I feel like what has been owed to you is also coming through. So you might have a little bit of benevolence and some good luck and fortune in terms of some money or stability, things that make you feel a little bit more secure showing up through the course of May. And I feel that that's going to be also a little bit confidence building for you in a certain regard. Now, we also have Vesta shifting into Pisces the same day that Mars moves into Aries, which is going to happen on the 24th. Of course, here we are looking for spiritual sustenance, but there's a little bit of a kind of sacrificial lamb energy going on with Vesta in Pisces, so we need to be a little bit mindful of that. Now, Mars in Aries loves to be in this placement, and again, it's going to give you some desire and motivation to sort of really push forward with things. And like I said, this is a really extraordinary month, Taurus. And so what we want to remind you of is that, Chariot, beautiful, is that there's no time to waste. It does feel that where we have this kind of simultaneous announcements taking place, you are capable, and you're showing this, that you're going to be able to maintain and stay in control of everything that you've got going on right now. It might feel a little bit hairy at certain moments through the month, but what we see is a way forward. I think this is really important. I think you need to hear this. There is going to be a way forward for you through what might feel like an incredibly tricky, complex, challenging situation. That may well be in and around close relationships. You know, it could be your partner, your spouse, it may be a best friend, it may be a boss or a co-worker. I feel like I'm singling into kind of a very specific relationship here. But what we have, and there's also that kind of nod to Cancer with the energy of the Chariot, that might be relevant. But even by the time we come into Cancer season, toward the end of June, I feel like I've got full resolution around that. There may even been an argument or something that's set to erupt, something that needs to come out to kind of clear the air. I feel that clearance of something is going to be helpful to enable you to just move forward as well. Now, you do have this sort of vibe a little bit coming through in May of feeling like almost a little bit stabbed in the back, or that perhaps somebody has acted a little bit disingenuously, or even somebody kind of throwing that your way and trying to throw a little bit of shade on something that you've been trying to do in a place of integrity or in the best way that you know how. Again, I do think that there's going to be resolution for this, but what we need to remember is that, we're going to be triggered by issues of personal power, of codependency, of enmeshment. There's even a strong emphasis around kind of connections to do with past life energies. So what we want to say to you is stop trying to match the energy of things that are being projected towards you that feel really difficult or triggering. Don't match it. Take it as an invitation to really go within yourself and ask, why is this affecting me so much? Is this a repeated pattern? Am I ready to really let go of it? If I am, what is it I need to release by way of that imprint in my nervous system? Because the other thing that can be really powerful during eclipse season like this is just coming into extraordinary moments where almost kind of instantaneous healing or breakthroughs can really facilitate the release of things that have been dominating your experience and your thoughts. And there's a special emphasis around things that might be connected to like your money story or your sense of worth and value. Your Five of Swords here, running through, the whole kind of core of your reading, these sword energies suggest to me that, there is a little bit of overthinking going on, and perhaps at times even sort of thinking like the worst case scenario is upon you, or just struggling with that overwhelm and the kind of scattered energy. That's not going to be helped by the fact that Mercury goes retrograde in Gemini, which it's the natural ruler of. And of course, Gemini, dealing with our thoughts, our conversation, our language, the way that we express ourselves. And so things can get a little bit lost in translation in that regard. And as you're trying to kind of struggle or find your way through some of these complex situations, you may be repeatedly coming up against situations where people are misunderstanding your intentions, or just not really receiving the message that you're trying to send. So it just feels like you have to say it, and say it again, and try not to be frustrated in that energy, okay? Just use it as a reminder that every time you affirm what you want, what you need, what your boundaries are, that actually you're also strengthening your own resiliency and building your faith that this is the right way forward for you. And again, that's going to be like a really important aspect of how this month can facilitate, you getting to where you're meant to be right now, because there's an amazing sort of upward swing, I feel, that's coming in, that's wanting to give you this preview of where life is going. And regardless of how challenging things feel in the collective, there's this inner seed of like hope, of positive expectation. And you know it's there, you can feel it, and there is a choice to be made as to how much attention and nurturing you want to give towards it. And this is the month, because you're in your power so much, that you can really readdress the balance, and start to dissipate some of those heavier negative influences that keep coming towards you. Venus is going to be shifting into your sign right at the end of the month on the 28th. Again, beautiful energy for you to start to come back into the body, start to really kind of feel things through in terms of, how is the activation of my senses really helping to ground in what's important to me. We've got a new moon coming in Gemini on the 30th. And so here we get to really start to be future focused and, come up with incredibly ingenious strategies, ideas and plans to kind of take things to the next level. Three of Pentacles, I love this, is such a constructive energy. And actually it's going to be really helpful in terms of the relationships, that you have gone through these really powerful kind of overhaul situations with through the last few weeks, to actually find a meaningful way forward. You may even bring in some outside support by way of counseling or by way of people that can help you move something forward, whether it's professionally or personally. But what I'm sensing here, and it's interesting because we've got a couple of major arcana cards here, the Tower and the Chariot. So these are the sort of messages that we really want to pay close attention to as we address what May's really about with you. Because remember, she stays in control. She's finding a way through. That path is not necessarily already carved. She has to kind of break new ground. So the Tower is required to break the ground so that we can actually find a way through. Just keep that in mind, okay? But Eight of Wands and Chariot, there is this sense of momentum that's building. You want to be on the right side of that. So even though retrograde's asking for an internal review, the internal review can lead to absolute gold when we're giving ourselves the opportunity to kind of move forward with things. So let's take a look and see how the Oracle cards want to just join this energy conversation for you. Okay, so you have the Rose Thread, Inner Call, Soul Led, the Mystic, Living Courageously. I kind of want to pinpoint that phrase, living courageously. I really think that this is what this month is going to help you to seed in with yourself. What does it mean for me to live a courageous life? How does that change things? How does that help me to progress some of the ways in which I am talking to myself, or how I'm prioritizing? If I'm preparing for what comes next and I'm really determined to look for things that have true substance and meaning for me, and I'm ready to kind of really take the lead, then what am I ready to do? There's something that's kind of calling you at a deeper level. And I feel like when we get quiet to listen to that, we can start to build up the trust. And I think that, from that, there may be a little bit of guilt that surfaces, guilt that comes in and says, why have I not done this sooner? Or if I do this, what does it mean? What does it mean for the people around me? Or what does it mean for even past choices that I've made? Or the sacrifices or the compromises that I'm about to have to present. But I think there's a sort of inevitability here through the month of May that says, the cost of not doing this now is too great. It's like I'm already, in many regards, already doing it because your future self's already arrived at that destination, yeah? Okay, so let's take a look at the Moonology cards. Okay, you have New Moon in Aquarius, open up to change. What was maybe something that was already building back at the beginning of the year, you know, thoughts and ideas or shifts that you were observing, you know, through some of those challenging sort of transits that we had, especially that Venus retrograde time. You know, that was really deeply affecting how you show up in some of these personal relationships. But I think we can't ignore what's been knocking at your door now, because it's got so loud that you have to answer the call, right? You have to. And I think you're ready to do that, because you're sort of ready for the bigger changes and what that means in terms of how life is going to look and feel a bit different for you. And even though some of that might feel a little bit unknown, I still see this kind of maverick energy with that Chariot just powering through you this month and being incredibly supportive of what happens next. So if things come to a head, allow that, because what's on the other side of it feels really exhilarating, actually. Okay, let's take a look and see. These are the color cards. So I just wanted to see what color wants to come through for you this month. Bronze, strengthen your body. Okay, well, I love that we have that nod to the physicality of things. You know, we talked about that it's a time to really come back into the body during your season. And even Jupiter shifting into Aries, helping us to pull down some of the kind of etheric spiritual connection that we made, and this sort of bounty of spiritual advancement in that regard, and really sort of make it mean something now. So bronzite is also, I feel like, a stone or a crystal that can be really supportive, especially if you're quite sensitive and feeling the kind of influx of really negative or difficult energies from people around you. It's a very protective stone to work and help you to stay within your own energy field. So that might be helpful for you as well. Okay, Taurus, this is a general reading for the month of May. I'm just going to go ahead and invite you to think about a personal question that we might not have answered in this main spread. And we're going to just pull a couple of cards for you. If you're new to the channel, we are going to cover these cards and your personal question in the extended reading. You can find the link in the description and the comment section underneath for that, okay? So that one wants to come out. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and clarify this main reading now. So just beginning with the Eight of Wands. Now, just a reminder, my new Oracle deck, Life Soul Vision, is now available for pre-order. And right after this video, I've actually loaded on like a quick screen grab. So you can have a play and just see what card comes up for you, as well as a little extra bonus message for this month. So we have the Hermit and the Fool. Nice major arcanas coming in. So you can find the links as well to follow through and see if that would be of interest for you. I'm so excited to start working with the deck, and thank you to all of you who has supported the Kickstarter campaign. Okay, Seven of Swords comes in with the Six of Swords, Nine of Cups, Ten of Wands. Okay, we've got another Tower energy coming in with that Ten of Pentacles and the Star. All the decks that I use, Taurus, are also featured in the description comment section underneath, so you can find any of the ones that might have been of interest for you. Two of Swords, Six of Wands, another Eight of Wands. Nice. Okay, so this Ten of Swords is bringing through King of Pentacles, Earth energy. Really light on court cards this month, actually. So here we have a couple coming in. Queen of Wands, Two of Cups, maybe a fire sign, Aries, Sagittarius, Leo. With the extended reading, Taurus, we talk for another 20-25 minutes or so just to give you deeper insights into your reading for the month ahead. So a way to support my channel and also just to receive more insight. So you've got a couple of aces showing up, which is great. Page of Pentacles. Oh. Eight of Cups. Nice, beautiful cards there. Okay, Taurus, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for tuning in for your May soul story. I appreciate your support. Please make sure you're subscribed. Drop me a like and comment on the video. It really helps to support the work that I do. And if you're joining me for the extended, I can't wait to continue this conversation. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful solar returns. You take good care of yourself.